When Easter comes around every year, we always say, preachers are fond of saying, Christ died for you. And in staff meetings this year, we were thinking, how can we get that message across to you, to everyone, that Christ died for you? And I thought, who better than our deacons, whose lives have been changed and they've been ordained or set aside to serve in a local church? Let's hear from them. Let's hear in their own words what Easter means to them.
All right, before I gave my life to Christ, I had come from a very godly family, accepted Christ as a child, but then in my late teenage years kind of went a little crazy and kind of got off the road and off the path a little bit. But then I came back to Christ and He changed me for the better.
Before I met Christ, I really tried to live my life in a Christian manner and be a good person, but it was all in trying to do it in my own strength.
I was raised in a Christian home with a single mom, and I accepted Christ at a young age, but then led astray pretty early on. And into my adulthood and stayed away from Christ for a very long time.
Accepted Christ when I was 8, but I didn't pursue the relationship. So most of my life was self-driven and self-empowered. Didn't matter how hard I worked or what I tried, nothing ever could get rid of that sense of restlessness.
I went to a Christian camp over a weekend, and I remember that night sitting in the sanctuary that they had, praying, and just feeling this heavy weight on my shoulders. And it was like God was telling me, okay, if you want to do it, here's the burden that you need to carry. And it was just overwhelming and overpowering. And it was then that I knew that I couldn't live this life without Christ.
I began to realize that I was a sinner and that I could never be good enough to get to heaven or to be with God on my own.
I felt a lack of genuineness, authenticity of being a Christian. I felt like I was living a charade, a lie.
Realizing that I was living two lives and that I was miserable and it was ruining my life and my family's life, and I was basically empty and had nowhere to go at that point in my life. I think if you don't have Christ in your life, you don't have a life. You're empty.
Why do you need Christ? If you really think about it, where are you? You're stuck in this immense universe that's way bigger than you, way more complex than you, and you're a little blip on the radar. You live, you die, a little puff of smoke 80 years, and what do you show for it? A tombstone that etches away with time and then you're forgotten. Where is anything of lasting value? What I've discovered is there is an eternal and loving God who is reaching out through His creation, wanting you to relate to Him.
Anything that we do without Christ is for nothing. And I've lived it and tried that. And at the end of the day, you come back to, what is this all for? And being able to be on the other side and know that your life is for meaning.
Than anything, if I knew someone didn't know Christ, that I would want them to know just how precious they are to God and how much He loves them, and that He wants to have a relationship with them, and that He has great plans for their life because He loves them so much.
There's somebody out there that no matter what the world throws at you, no matter what's going on in your life and the chaos around you, there's a person that can be the calm in the storm that you're looking for.
So Easter time for me is, I think it first starts with just a really humble place to recognize what Christ has done for any pettiness, anything that I would have done. And yet in that humility, because He died on the cross and took that sin away and bore that for everybody, not just me, but everybody. That to me is just a huge power to have overcome that. And then just to be resurrected. Nobody's ever been resurrected. and that's the power of God at work.
Easter is more than just hope. It is an assurance of that God can do what He says that He will do, and that what He promises He will do. It's like the crucifixion was the payment the death and burial was the mourning, but the resurrection was irrefutable proof that God can and does do what he promises to do. So when he says, I am the resurrection, I am the life, that's what God says that he will give to us because of what Jesus did. So Easter is hope, but Easter is also victory over sin and death.
You know, when I think of Easter, I think about the sacrifice that Christ made and the sacrifice that God made in sending his son. As a father, I know how much I love my kids, and I can't imagine submitting them to what Christ went through for me. And it's a reminder that that's how much God loves me, that he's willing to go through that and give his life for me. And if he's willing to do that, he's going to stand beside me, and he's going to love me no matter what.